All right, brother. So this video is about stage 4 in the 9 stages of healing your marriage process. And it's one of the most misunderstood and most drawn out stages within the healing process. It's where a lot of guys, they get confused. Their partners get quiet and it feels like that the trust is hanging in the balance. It's where a lot of guys give up and they're not realizing that what they're actually experiencing isn't failure. It's part of the path, it's part of the progress. So, what is stage 4? Stage 4 is about rebuilding trust, not about the surface level kind of trust, like, hey, I didn't cheat on you or I didn't lie to you. This is about emotional trust. Can she share herself with you and feel safe in doing so? Can she tell you what's really going on without it turning into a debate or an argument? Now, in the early stages, things are often more black and white, right? So stage 1, you're learning the concepts. Stage 2, you're building emotional safety. Stage 3, you're decoding the disconnect, understanding where did it go wrong, finding out all the little blind spots. And then comes stage 4, and suddenly things don't feel that clear anymore, right? One day she's warm, and then the next day she's cold. And you guys might have moments of closeness. She might give you a kiss or a smile, or you guys might even have sex or intimacy. And then a week later, she's talking about separation again. And I get it, man. It's really confusing. And the reason it's confusing is because it's not binary. It doesn't flip on and off like a light switch. Instead, trust is more like shifting gears in a manual car. And I purposely use this metaphor or analogy because I know a lot of guys, they'll understand this, right? So you don't go from first gear straight into fifth gear, right? You have to feel it in. You have to go through the gears in a process. You have to shift smoothly. You have to match the rhythm, right? The accelerator comes off, the clutch goes in, right? There's a rhythm to it. But if you push too hard, that's when she resists. And if you learn how to move with her, gear by gear, at a pace, you'll start to build real, lasting trust. The kind that opens up her heart, opens up her body, opens up her mind, and lets you back in. So in this video, I'm going to break it down exactly how to move through those emotional gears, how to recognize the signs of progress, and how to avoid the more common mistakes, the ones that make women shut down even more, right? So let's start with what's actually causing the lack of trust in the first place. Now, most men assume that trust breaks when you lie, when you cheat, when you betray a promise. And yes, look, those things do matter. But when a woman says that, hey, I don't trust you, most of the time, what she's really saying is that I don't feel emotionally safe sharing my truth with you. And it's not about whether you're loyal or not. It's about whether you can handle her inner world without making her regret opening up. Because trust, emotional trust, isn't just about honesty. It's about how you respond when she shares something vulnerable, something raw, even messy, right? The ugly. So what breaks emotional trust, right? And we'll go through the main culprits. And as I do, imagine all of these points within the transmission. Moments where the engine of disconnection, it grinds to a halt, right? You're in the wrong gear and you've come to a standstill. So the first one is emotional reactivity. And this is one of the biggest ones, right? She opens up. She says something hard. She shares something that she's overwhelmed with or unhappy or unsupported with. And instead of listening, you fire back, right? You're being ungrateful. You're always being negative. Do you know how much I do for you? What she learns in this moment is that if I share something with him, it gets thrown back in my face. I get punished for it. It doesn't matter if you're right? More often than not, what she may say might come across as contradiction, right? And you'll try and correct it. What matters is that she didn't feel emotionally safe. And now she downshifts emotionally into protection mode. Number 2 is jumping to solutions, right? She says she's tired. You tell her to go to bed early. She says she's feeling stuck and you start fixing it. She's looking for emotional presence. She's not sharing to get a solution. She's sharing to feel understood. And the third one is a lack of attention. If she's talking to you and you're on the phone, she's not just annoyed, she's actually hurt. To women, attention is connection. It's the emotional currency of intimacy. Every time you check out, you're scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, or you give her a like an autopilot response, right? You're sending her a silent message that, hey, you're not important to me right now. And that message, it builds over time. And she doesn't just rage, she just shuts down, she closes off, she shifts down a gear. The fourth is being judgmental. And this one is subtle, right? So this looks like that she might share something minor with you, like forgetting something or making a mistake or handling some sort of conflict poorly. And you respond with logic or criticism, right? Well, why don't you just do this? Or next time, why don't you just make a list? Why do you let people walk all over you? And just like that, she shuts down emotionally, right? What she wanted from you was support. What she got was like an evaluation of how she's doing and what's right and what's wrong. Right? She doesn't want that. Number 5 is a lack of follow through. Now, this one is a quiet killer. You say you'll do the dishes and you don't. You say you're going to start going to the gym and you don't. You say that, hey, this time it's going to be different, I promise. And it's not. Now, she might not call you out for it, but every time this happens, her inner voice says, I can't trust him to deliver. And then she starts doing things by herself. She starts protecting herself. She moves into her masculine and she starts doing everything on her own. She doesn't ask for your help, right? Because what she's doing is she's becoming her own safety. And the more that she provides for herself, both emotionally, physically, mentally, the less she feels the need for you. And that's when you'll notice the shift, right? She's getting colder. She's more independent. She's less interested in talking, touching, connecting. And that's not just the beginning of a problem. That's the result of the emotional gears grinding to a halt, right? She doesn't hate you. She just doesn't trust that she's safe with you, right? Not yet. So if you want to move her and shift her out of emotional neutral, you've got to become the man that makes upshifting feel safe. And we can do this by creating an environment where every small little moment tells her that, hey, you can trust me. And here's how we get to it, right? And using the manual transmission metaphor, every gear represents a deeper level of trust, vulnerability, and connection. And you can't skip gears, man. You can't, it's not a truck. You can't just jump gears. So I'll walk you through the gears of trust, right? So gear 1 is surface level safety. This is where she will share basic day-to-day things with you. What she brought up, what she brought from the shops, how the school pickup went, the TV shows that she's watching. These are safe, casual interactions, right? These are interactions that she'll have with anyone. But don't dismiss them, because this is where you get to show her consistency. You get to show her your tone, your calm, your level of attention. And if she's had a long enough day, don't make it about you, bro. Right? If she's cold, don't retaliate. Just hold your frame. Stay grounded. Smile. This tells her that, hey, first gear is solid. I think I'm ready to move into second gear. And second gear is her personal opinions and preferences, right? So she's going to start sharing what she likes, what she's interested in, what she's curious about. And this is where she's slowly going to start letting you back into her world, right? But this is going to be on her terms, right? She might mention how, yoga went and how it used to help her. She might casually say things like, I'm thinking of starting study again, or going back to TAFE, or trying this new job role. These are low risk conversations, but it's a little bit more personal. And the test here is that, can you hear her without steering her in a direction, without fixing or correcting or making the conversation about you? And if so, that will allow her to move into gear 3, right? And the third gear is speaking about frustrations and mild struggles, right? She'll start to share with you small little stresses, work issues, family dramas, emotional irritations. And this is where most guys fail, right? They either fix it too fast or they defend themselves and then they become part of the problem. But the third gear is where you get to prove that you can be like an emotional shock absorber, right? You can let her vent, you can let her feel, say things like, hey, that sounds really tough, or, I can see how that would piss you off. This is where she feels seen, right? It's not about solving anything. And once she feels seen, she'll move into gear 4, which is her vulnerable desires, right? And now we're getting into intimacy. She might say things like, hey, I've always wanted to open up my own cafe. Or I used to dream about writing a book. Or I sometimes think, am I even a good mum? These are sacred shares, right? She's not telling you what happened. She's telling you who she is underneath it all. And if you meet that with presence, with appreciation, and you validate it, she'll start to realize that, hey, maybe I can bring my whole self to him. And this will allow you to move into gear 5. This is where she'll share her relationship wounds, her emotional history. So here she's going to share things with you like, hey, when you said that thing last year, that really hurt me. I never got over how, you shut down when I needed you the most. Or, hey, that time we had that massive argument? It reminded me of my dad. Right? So when she shares these things with you, bro, she's not attacking you. What she's doing is she's opening up her vault. She's letting you in, right? She's going to share maybe some family trauma or some wounds from childhood. This is about, the way her past has shaped her into who she is today. And this is your moment to hold space, not to interrupt her, not to defend anything, right? Just let her land. And once you do, we'll be able to move into gear 6. And this is full emotional exposure. And if you've reached this point, she'll hand you the deepest parts of herself. The shame, the fear, the past abuse, the secrets that she's never said out loud. This is the gear where she no longer sees you as a threat, but as a partner within her healing, right? If she cries, bro, don't fix it. If she trembles, just hold her. And if she's sharing something hard, just remind her that there's nothing that she can say that would make you love her less. Because at this stage, you're not just rebuilding trust, you're becoming the man that she's never felt safe enough to open to. Now, I'm going to go a little bit deeper on safety because everything hinges on this. And I want to give you some real world examples and metaphors that's actually going to make it stick, right? So think of emotional safety like a campfire, right? You're sitting at the fire and she's the one who decides how close she can sit, right? If the fire's too small, she's going to be really cold. If it's too big and wild, then she's going to get burnt. But if the fire is steady, it's going to stay warm, it's going to stay consistent, right? She's going to be able to relax. She's going to scoot a little bit closer. She'll bring a blanket and she'll stay for a little bit longer, right? So what builds this emotional campfire, right? What builds it is your reactions to her emotions, right? Let's say she says that, hey, you're always working and I feel like I don't matter. Now, you can blow up, or you can dim that fire, or you can keep the fire steady and say, hey, I get it. And I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. And you do matter to me. That's warmth. That's safety. That's her thinking, wow, he can really handle me, right? Your ability to be present without needing validation. You're sitting on the couch and she's quiet and you want to ask her like, hey, what's wrong? What's going on? But instead, you just stay with her. Stay present. You're not fixing, you're not begging, you're not digging, right? You're just there. And later on, she opens up, right? Why? Because she felt that space. She didn't feel pressure. She didn't feel you trying to dig and dig and dig and dig, right? The third thing is your discipline and your own self-leadership. And this is the one that gets overlooked, right? So if you're going to say you're going to wake up at 6 a.m., bro, do it, because she's going to notice that. When you say you're going to take the kids to the park or the playground, right? Follow through with that. She'll notice all these little things because every single time you keep your word, she notices that. And it is like a bank deposit, right? We spoke about the deposit. This is emotional equity. And it'll update her on the way that she sees you, right? From here, you're not trying to convince me, right? He's different. Something's changed. And she'll believe that you actually are, right? And there's nothing that builds trust faster than consistency over time. Now, if you've built enough emotional safety, eventually she's going to start sharing more. And when that happens, bro, prepare yourself. Because what most men think is a setback, is a failure, is a stop sign, it's actually a test. And a test is always a sign that you're getting closer. Right? Let me explain. Let's say that you've been consistent for the past month, right? You've been present, you've been disciplined, and she's starting to warm up. And you've had a couple of deep conversations with her. She's laughing at your jokes, or, she might be staying over a little bit longer. And then out of nowhere, she throws something really heavy at you, or she just goes cold, or starts accusing you. And it feels like you're right back at square one, right? Where you guys were a month ago. Bro, that is a test. That's her nervous system asking, was this safety real? Or is this just a facade? Is this just a phase? Right? And women, they don't test with words. They test with their tone. They test with silent treatment. They test with coldness and distance. Or they test with their own way of reactivity. And the way you respond will tell her whether the version of you that is here now, if she's safe enough to warm up, right? Is this version of you here to stay? Or is this just the facade? And this is where most guys fail, right? They get frustrated, they get confused, they get angry. And underneath it all, bro, you just hurt. They say things like, after everything I've done, how can you treat me like this? And in that moment, she confirms her fear. See, he hasn't changed. It's not safe for me to open up. But if you can stay grounded, if you can pass the test, she'll shift into a new level of trust. And when you're going through the gears, right, every single gear you change, there will be a test, right? And if it holds, she'll allow you to climb higher and higher through the gears, right? You are the anchor. So she's testing you to see if this is strong or is it going to break, right? So when she does poke your buttons, when she does push those buttons, bro, just breathe, say send. And when she says things that are not nice, right, respond with calm and clarity. Don't be robotic, right? Don't be fake, right? Saying things in, oh, that must make you feel unsafe, or that would be really shit. Like, bro, have some empathy. Really put yourself in her shoes, right? And reflect back to her in your own words. Don't script off me or script off any of my videos or script off anything, right? Just put in your own words. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. It'll just come out naturally. It could sound like things like, hey, you know what? It sounds like that you're really hurting right now. I'm here for you, right? We don't need to solve anything right now. I'm not going anywhere. Now, I'll give you a bonus insight, right? And this is the part that a lot of guys, they just don't expect. When her trust deepens, so does her desire, right? And I'm not talking about emotional closeness. I'm talking about sexual closeness. Because for a woman, the pathway to intimacy, it runs through her heart, right? And if her heart is armored up, right? If she's suited up to protect herself, her body won't allow anyone in. But when her heart softens, her nervous system says that, hey, it's safe for me to be open with him again. And that's when the attraction returns. You might notice her flirting with you again. She might hold you longer in a hug. She might even initiate. And it's not going to be coming from an obligation like, oh my God, it's been 2 weeks, I haven't given him anything, I better. Right? It's not transactional. It'll come from a deep, embodied desire to serve you. Right? When she finally starts to feel safe around you again, and that version of you is strong, is solid, and it's there to remain, there'll be a version of her that'll come out that only used to come out with her boyfriend or her ex, right, back in the early days. And you might think like, hey, you've never done this with me before, right? She'll be doing things that she probably hasn't done, right? Exploring. But the reason why she did this with her older partners, with her ex, with other guys other than you, is because she didn't care about those guys. right? Those guys couldn't hurt her. And because she didn't care, she was able to do more promiscuous things with them. But because you matter so much to her, she puts her walls up. And it's not because you're not worthy, bro, but it's because you are significant. And the more safety that you create, the more she's going to realize that, hey, I can trust him with parts of me that I used to hide. And this is where the magic happens. So when she does become not just your wife, but your girlfriend, your lover, your partner, she will feel like there's no part of her that is too much for you. There's no part of her that she wants to hide, right? So let's just say that you pass the test and she opens up a little bit more. She starts sharing things that she's never told you before. She starts confessing her fears. She starts telling you about all the regrets from the past. She talks about her childhood wounds and maybe even some traumas that you didn't know existed. Right? What happens now? So this is gear 6. It's not just about connection anymore. It's about bonding at a soul level. When she gives you her deepest truth, will you hold it with strength, stillness, and a level of softness, right? And she finally exhales. She finally says, consciously or not, I can stop protecting myself now. And that's when the relationship shifts from being guarded to being fully open, from being transactional to transcendent, from survival to a level of sacredness. And at this stage, you're going to notice 3 things. The first is that her body's going to soften around you. The tension that she used to carry on her shoulders, her jaw, her voice, it's all going to melt away. You walk into a room and she just lights up because now her nervous system knows that, hey, you're safe. And she begins to follow your lead, not because you demand it, but because she trusts it. She defers to your decision more. She wants your input. She respects your guidance, not because you force the control, but because you've earned that level of influence with her. And the intimacy deepens in every area, right? Emotionally, sexually, spiritually, right? And this is not just about having sex. It's about feeling chosen. It's not just about talking. It's about really being seen. And the most powerful part, right, is that once she fully trusts you, she no longer needs to consistently test you, right? I'm not saying it's going to stop forever, right? She will test you every now and again, but the frequency of it, it's going to fade because she's no longer wondering that, if you've changed. She believes it now. She feels it. And now she lets you lead. And that's where the masculine feminine dynamic, it realigns. And you stop operating like roommates and you become like a team again. But none of this happens unless you hold steady from gear 1 through to gear 5, right? None of this is going to unfold unless you pass her tests with grace. And when you do, bro, she is all yours. Not by force, not by fear, not by any judgment of mum and dad, nothing. It's by her own choice, right? So as we close out this video, I'm going to leave you with a metaphor. Rebuilding trust is like driving the manual transmission, right? Gear 1 is getting the engine started, right? She's talking about surface level stuff. Gear 2 is the casual preferences, right? She's warming up, but she's still coasting a little bit, right? These are conversations she'll have with her friends. Gear 3 is her sharing her daily frustrations, right? Now you're moving into motion, but she's still cautious. Gear 4 is when she's sharing her deeper hopes and fears, right? Now you guys are accelerating emotionally. Gear 5 is the real intimacy, right? She's exposing her wounds and she's trusting you to hold them. And then gear 6 is complete trust. She's not just here, for the ride. She's here with you throughout the whole journey. And this is where she holds your hand while you have the keys, right? But you can't skip gears. If you stall the car in gear 3 and you get defensive or you get reactive when she shares with you, right? You have to downshift. You're going to have to go down a gear, build that momentum up again before we move back into a higher gear, right? So be patient, bro. be steady, be attuned to when it's time to shift gears. Because if you can hold that discipline, if you can keep showing up with calm, grounded love, then, bro, the ride on the other side of trust, it's going to be worth every single effort.